Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the spaceship UES Horizon and watched Earth grow bigger on the main screen. The blue and green planet looked beautiful as always, but something felt wrong. After 18 months exploring the far edges of human space, he and his crew of 47 people were ready to go home. Lisa, try to contact Earth Traffic Control again, Morrison said to his communications officer. Lisa Parker pressed buttons on her control panel and spoke into her headset. Earth Traffic Control, this is UES Horizon requesting landing clearance. Please respond. She waited a few seconds, then tried again. Earth Traffic Control, do you copy? Only static came through the speakers. Lisa frowned and looked at Morrison. Sir, I'm not getting any response. Maybe there's interference from the solar storms we passed through. Morrison nodded, but a cold feeling grew in his stomach. In all his years of space travel, Earth Traffic Control had never failed to respond. The orbital space around Earth was always busy with ships coming and going. Commercial freighters, military vessels, passenger liners, and small private craft moved in careful patterns directed by traffic control. But as the horizon got closer to Earth, Morrison noticed something that made his hands shake. The space around Earth was empty. No ships moved between the orbital stations. No running lights blinked on the massive space platforms that served as docks and refueling stations. Ryan, run a full sensor sweep of Earth orbital space, Morrison ordered his navigation specialist. Ryan Bell worked at his station for several minutes. His face grew pale as he read the results. Commander, I'm reading no active ships in Earth orbit. The orbital stations show no power signatures. No communications traffic at all. That's impossible, said Maria Santos, a ship's science officer. Earth has over 50 orbital platforms and thousands of ships passing through every day. Morrison felt his chest tighten. Something was very wrong. Maria scanned the planet's surface. Look for power grids, communication arrays, anything that shows normal activity. Maria's hands flew over her controls. The minutes stretched like hours as she gathered data. Finally, she turned to face Morrison with wide, frightened eyes. Sir, I'm reading no electromagnetic signatures from any major city. No power grids are active. No radio or television broadcasts. No cellular networks. The planet appears to be completely dark from a technology standpoint. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Lisa tried Earth Traffic Control again, then attempted to contact the lunar base on Earth's moon. She got nothing but empty static. What about life signs? Morrison asked quietly. Maria ran another scan. She checked her instruments twice before. Speaking. Sir, I'm not detecting any human life signs from orbit. The bioscanners show normal animal and plant activity, but no human signatures in any of the major population centers. Dr. Kevin Murphy, the ship's medical officer, stepped forward. That could mean they're underground or shielded somehow. We can't scan through heavy materials very well from this distance. Morrison wanted to believe that, but his experience told him otherwise. Earth had over 10 billion people. Even if most were underground, some should show up on the scanners. Sir, Ryan said, the moon base isn't responding either. I can see structural damage to some of the domes. It looks like atmosphere is venting into space. Amanda Rogers, the security chief, joined them on the bridge. Commander, this has all the signs of an evacuation or worse. But where could 10 billion people go? And why didn't they send out any distress calls? Morrison stared at Earth on the screen. The planet looked normal from space. Clouds swirled over the continents. The ice caps gleamed white at the poles. Oceans reflected sunlight. But no city lights dotted the night side of the planet. No satellites moved in their orbits. Take us to Station Unity, Morrison decided. Station Unity was one of the largest orbital platforms, usually home to over 5,000 people. We'll dock and investigate before going down to the surface. The Horizon moved slowly toward the massive station. As they got closer, Morrison could see that the station's lights were off. No ships sat in the docking bays. The rotating sections that created artificial gravity had stopped moving. Docking Bay 12 is open, Ryan reported. I can bring us in. The docking process felt strange, without the usual chatter from station control. The mechanical clamps grabbed the horizon with metallic sounds that echoed through the hall. Morrison ordered a full environmental check before opening the airlocks. Atmosphere is breathable, Dr. Murphy confirmed. Temperature is cold but safe. No biological hazards detected. Morrison, Amanda, and 3 other crew members put on their sidearms and entered the station. Emergency lighting cast long shadows down the corridors. Their footsteps echoed in the empty halls. They found the station's main control room. Computer screens still glowed, showing normal system status. But no people sat at the workstations. Coffee cups sat half-empty on desks. A sandwich lay half-eaten on a plate. Personal belongings were scattered around as if people had simply vanished in the middle of their daily activities. Amanda found the station's computer logs. She scrolled through weeks of entries showing normal operations, ship arrivals and departures, maintenance reports, and crew schedules. Then, exactly 127 days ago, all entries stopped. The last log entry was from Station Commander Helen Wright. All systems normal. Shift change at 0800 hours. Nothing came after that. Morrison looked around the empty control room and felt fear creep up his spine. Whatever had happened to Earth and its people had happened fast. Fast enough that no one had time to send distress calls or evacuation messages. Commander, Lisa's voice came through his communicator. I've been monitoring all emergency frequencies. I'm picking up an automated distress beacon from the outer system. It's very faint. Morrison pressed his communicator. Can you identify the source? It's human, sir. But it's not from any ship I recognize. The signal is old, maybe several months. Morrison made a decision that would change everything. Prep the landing shuttle. We're going down to Earth, but first, launch a distress probe toward the nearest Galactic Council station. If something happens to us, someone needs to know what we found here. As they prepared to investigate the empty planet below, Morrison couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's disappearance was just the beginning of something much larger and more frightening than any of them could imagine. 3 weeks after Earth went silent, the distress signal from Commander Morrison reached the Galactic Council station at Proxima Centauri. Admiral Zeftar, a tall blue-skinned Altarian with silver markings on his face, read the message with growing worry. His forearms moved quickly across his control panel as he called up Earth's communication records. The humans had been reliable members of the Galactic Council for 37 years. They were known for being honest in their dealings and loyal to their friends. Admiral Zifter had worked with human commanders many times and respected their fighting spirit and clever thinking. This cannot be right, Zefter said to his aide. 10 billion humans do not simply disappear without a trace. He immediately sent the message to the Council headquarters on the planet Nexus Prime. Within hours, ships from 7 different alien species were preparing to investigate what had happened to humanity. The Council took the disappearance very seriously because humans had proven themselves valuable allies in recent conflicts. Dr. Veladin, a crystal-like being whose body reflected light in rainbow patterns, led the scientific team. She had studied many dead worlds and extinct civilizations during her long career. General Korthik of the warrior race, called the Dramoon, commanded the military escort. He was a large, fierce-looking creature with gray skin and sharp teeth. But he had fought beside human soldiers and knew their courage. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, Commander Morrison and his team had set up a base camp in what used to be New York City. The massive skyscrapers stood empty and dark. Cars sat abandoned in the streets, exactly where their drivers had left them. Traffic lights blinked red and yellow, with no one to see them. Tony Martinez, the ship's engineer, had managed to get power working in several buildings using portable generators. The electricity revealed scenes that chilled the crew to their bones. Offices looked like people had just stepped away from their desks. Restaurants had tables still set for meals that were never eaten. Homes had beds that were made, but never slept in again. It's like everyone just vanished at the same exact moment, Martinez said as he checked another building's power systems. Lisa Parker worked day and night trying to boost their communication signals. She hoped to contact other human colonies scattered across the galaxy. So far, she had received no responses from any human settlements. No matter how far away they were, Dr. Murphy examined the empty buildings for clues about what had happened to the people. He found no signs of disease, no bodies, no evidence of violence or struggle. Personal items lay exactly where people had dropped them. Even food was still fresh in many refrigerators, suggesting whatever happened was recent. It's like they all decided to leave at once, Murphy reported to Morrison. But where could they go? And how? Maria Santos made a disturbing discovery in a government building in Washington, D.C. She found classified files that showed Earth scientists had detected strange space distortions approaching the solar system months before everyone disappeared. The files were marked with the highest security levels. These readings don't match anything in our databases, Santos told Morrison as she studied the papers. The distortions were massive, bigger than anything we've ever seen. And they weren't natural. Someone or something was causing them. Rachel Kim, the team's biologist, made another strange finding. While examining the empty cities, she noticed that all the plants and animals were doing perfectly fine. Birds still nested in the trees. Cats and dogs roamed the streets looking for food. Plants in parks and gardens grew normally. Whatever had taken the humans had left every other form of life completely alone. This was targeted, Kim reported. Whatever happened was specifically aimed at removing human beings and nothing else. The Galactic Council fleet arrived in Earth's system after a week of fast travel. Admiral Zeftar was shocked by what he found. Not only was Earth empty, but every human space station, mining facility, and deep space outpost had also gone silent at exactly the same time. It was as if humanity had been erased from the galaxy in a single moment. Dr. Velilin used her advanced scanners to study the space around Earth. Her crystalline body glowed brighter as she concentrated on the readings. What she found made her very worried. "Admiral," she said in her musical voice, "I am detecting traces of exotic matter in this entire system. This type of matter only appears when space and time have been bent by extremely advanced technology." General Korthuk growled deep in his throat. What kind of technology could do this to an entire species? Dr. Velilin's body flickered through several colors before she answered. The energy signatures match theoretical descriptions from the predecessor civilization, the ancients who vanished from our galaxy millions of years ago. Everyone on the bridge fell silent. The predecessors were legendary. They had built massive structures across the galaxy and then disappeared without explanation. Most species believed they were just myths, stories told to explain the strange ruins found on distant worlds. The predecessors were real? Admiral Zeftar asked. It appears so, Dr. Velilin replied. And somehow they are connected to what happened to humanity. Morrison's team made contact with the Council fleet and shared their findings. The human commander looked tired and worried as he spoke to Admiral Zeftar over the video link. "We've searched dozens of cities," Morrison reported. The pattern is the same everywhere. No humans, no signs of struggle. Everything else untouched. It's like they were called away by something. Admiral Zevtar shared Dr. Velilin's discovery about the predecessor technology. Morrison's face grew pale when he heard this news. "Admiral, we found something else," Morrison said. "There's a research facility in Antarctica that was studying artifacts from ancient alien sites. We haven't been able to get inside yet, but the security systems are still active. Whatever they were working on, it was extremely classified." Dr. Velilin's crystals glowed with excitement. "Commander Morrison, that facility may hold the answers we need. The predecessors left behind many mysteries. If human scientists were studying their technology, they might have learned something important." As the two groups prepared to work together to solve the mystery, none of them realized they were about to uncover a truth that would change their understanding of humanity forever. The disappearance of Earth's people was not the end of something, but the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge and most important mission. The investigation grew bigger as the Galactic Council realized how large the mystery really was. Captain Nixandra of the Ethereal Commonwealth, a ghostly being who could phase through solid matter, led a task force to check every human colony. World. Her ships spread across human space like a search net, looking for any trace of the missing people. The pattern was the same everywhere they looked. On the farming world of Haven, which had fed millions of people across 3 star systems, the fields were full of ripe crops that no one had harvested. The grain silos stood full while the farmhouses sat empty. Tractors and harvesting machines were parked exactly where their operators had left them in the Colonial Administration Building. Captain Nixandra found the personal logs of security specialist Ben Carter. She read through his final entries with growing alarm. Carter had written about strange dreams that everyone in the colony was having. The dreams were all the same, he wrote. People saw vast geometric structures floating in empty space and heard a voice calling to them. The dreams started 3 months ago, Carter had written. At first, only a few people mentioned them. But now everyone is talking about the same visions. We see cities made of light and metal, bigger than anything humans have ever built. And there's a voice that speaks without words, telling us to come home and fulfill an ancient promise. Carter's last entry was dated exactly 127 days ago, the same day all human communication had stopped everywhere. The dreams are getting stronger. People are walking toward the old research station in the northern mountains. They say they have to go. They say it's time to return home. Back on Earth, Morrison's team finally broke through the security systems of the Antarctic Research Facility. What they found inside made them call for Dr. Velilin immediately. The facility was huge, built deep into the ice and rock. Corridors stretched for miles underground, filled with laboratories and storage areas. The main research lab contained dozens of strange artifacts. They were made of materials that seemed to shift and change when observed. Some looked like complex machines, while others resembled works of art. All of them gave off faint energy readings that Morrison's instruments could barely detect. Dr. Elena Vasquez had been the lead researcher at the facility. Her computer files told an incredible story. The artifacts had been collected from predecessor ruins across the galaxy over many decades. Human scientists had been secretly studying them, trying to understand the technology of the vanished race. Personal log, Dr. Elena Vasquez, day 847 of the project, Morrison read from her files. We've made a breakthrough in analyzing the genetic samples found within the artifacts. The DNA fragments show markers that are identical to sequences found in human genetic code. This is impossible unless humans are somehow related to the predecessors. More. Files revealed even stranger discoveries. The predecessor artifacts responded to human touch in ways they did not respond to other species. Human brainwaves could activate dormant systems in the ancient technology. It was as if the artifacts were designed specifically for humans to use. Meanwhile, Professor Mordecai, the Council's chief archaeologist, was making his own discoveries on the planet Kepler 442b. The old rabbit-like alien had spent his life studying predecessor ruins, but the site on Kepler 442b was unlike anything he had seen before. The ruins covered an entire continent. Massive stone structures reached toward the sky, covered with carvings that told a story. Professor Mordecai worked for days to translate the ancient symbols. What he learned made his fur stand on end. The carvings showed humanoid figures being led away from various worlds by ships with geometric designs. The murals suggested this had happened many times before, to different species across the galaxy's history. But the final panels showed something different. The humanoid figures were not being taken as prisoners. They were being welcomed home by identical beings who wore robes of starlight. These are not scenes of conquest, Professor Mordecai reported to Admiral Zefter. They are scenes of reunion. The predecessors did not destroy these species. They called them back. Dr. Velelin made the final piece of the puzzle fall into place. Deep in the Antarctic facility's quantum computer, she found a partially decoded message written in predecessor script. The Council's best language experts worked together to translate the complete text. The message read, "When the children of Earth have spread among the stars and proven their worthiness through bonds of loyalty and sacrifice, they shall be called to rejoin their ancestors in the spaces between spaces, to stand guard against the dark that hungers beyond the edge of reality." General Korthek studied this message with the eye of a military commander. He remembered the recent Void Wars, where humans had fought alongside Council forces against mysterious invaders from outside the galaxy. The humans had shown incredible bravery, often sacrificing themselves to save their alien allies. The timing matches, Korthek growled. The Void Wars ended 4 months ago. The humans proved their loyalty by fighting and dying for species they had only known for a few decades. Dr. Valelin's crystalline body pulsed with understanding. The regions where we fought the Void Wars are the same areas where we found predecessor warning beacons. The humans were not just fighting random invaders. They were defending ancient boundary markers without knowing it. Admiral Zefter felt a chill run through his forearms as the truth became clear. "You are saying the humans were called away by their own ancestors?" "It appears so," Dr. Velelin replied. "But called away for what purpose?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Morrison's team activated a predecessor beacon they found in the Antarctic facility. The beacon sent out a signal that was picked up by monitoring stations across the galaxy. But the signal was not random. It was a warning. The message was simple but terrifying. The Devourers return. The children of Earth have answered the call. The final battle begins soon. As the meaning of these words sank in, every member of the investigation team realized they were facing something far worse than the loss of humanity. They were facing a threat that required humanity's disappearance to combat, and now, without their human allies, the rest of the galaxy stood alone against an enemy they did not understand. Commander Morrison's team made the breakthrough that changed everything when engineer Tony Martinez managed to activate the main predecessor beacon in the Antarctic facility. The ancient device came to life with a low humming sound that seemed to vibrate through their bones. Blue light filled the room as the beacon projected something directly into their minds. A figure appeared before them, looking almost human, but wearing clothes made of what seemed like liquid starlight. The being's eyes held the wisdom of countless ages, and when it spoke, the words formed inside their thoughts, rather than reaching their ears. "I am Keeper Aldrin, once of the world you call Earth, now guardian of the spaces between realities," the figure said. "If you are receiving this message, and our children have answered the ancient calling, and the time of the final test has come. Morrison felt his legs grow weak. The being looked human, but there was something different about it, something that suggested it existed in more dimensions than normal people could see. The holographic message continued. Long ago, our people faced a choice. When our civilization learned to step beyond the boundaries of normal space and time, some chose to transcend completely, while others remained to seed new worlds with our genetic legacy. Those who stayed became the ancestors of humanity. Dr. Santos recorded everything as the Keeper explained the truth about human origins. Humanity was indeed descended from the predecessors, but they were the children of those who had chosen to remain in normal space rather than ascend to higher dimensions. We foresaw the return of the Devourers, Keeper Aldrin said, beings of pure entropy that exist to unmake reality itself. They consume not just matter and energy, but the very laws that hold the universe together. When they last appeared, it took the combined might of 100 civilizations to drive them back to the void between galaxies. The hologram showed images that made Morrison's team gasp in fear. Vast creatures of living darkness moved through space, and wherever they touched, stars went out forever. Planets didn't just die, they ceased to have ever existed. Whole star systems vanished from reality as if they had never been born. The genetic markers we placed in human DNA serve two purposes, the Keeper continued. They are both an identification key and a quantum anchor that connects you to us across dimensions. When humanity proved their worthiness by forming genuine bonds with other species and showing willingness to sacrifice for others, the calling activated. Morrison remembered the Void Wars, where humans had fought and died alongside their alien allies against invaders from outside the galaxy. Now he understood that those invaders had been scouts for the Devourers, testing the galaxy's defenses. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon, Lisa Parker had discovered something incredible. In a hidden chamber beneath the main lunar base, she found the last functioning predecessor facility. As she approached the central console, a figure materialized in front of her dot. It was Colonel Frank Rodriguez, who had commanded human forces during the Void Wars, but now he appeared translucent, like a ghost made of light. His voice sounded far away when he spoke. "Lisa, thank God someone made it here," Rodriguez said with great effort. "I volunteered to maintain one anchor point to normal space. It's the only way we can still communicate with you." Rodriguez explained that the transformation was not death, but it was irreversible. All of humanity now existed partially outside normal space and time, allowing them to fight the Devourers on their own dimensional plane. But this sacrifice had left their former allies without knowledge of the coming threat. "We can see them coming," Rodriguez said, his form flickering like a bad television signal. "The Devourers are moving through the void between galaxies. Their first scouts will arrive in days, maybe hours. They target worlds with strong connections to predecessor technology first." Back in the Antarctic facility, Keeper Aldrin's message revealed the desperate nature of humanity's mission. The Devourers cannot be fought with normal weapons or shields. They exist in multiple dimensions at once. Only beings who can also exist in those spaces can harm them. This is why we had to call our children home. Dr. Santos asked the question everyone was thinking. But how can we fight them without you? How can we protect ourselves? The Keeper's expression grew sad. You cannot fight them directly, but you can serve as anchor points for us. We need the consciousness of living beings in normal space to channel our power through. Without these anchors, we are trapped in the higher dimensions and cannot affect the physical universe. Admiral Zefter's fleet detected the first signs of the approaching threat. Massive space distortions appeared at the edge of the galaxy, the same type that had preceded humanity's disappearance, but thousands of times stronger. Reality itself began to ripple like water where the distortions touched normal space. All Council ships, this is Admiral Zefter, the Altarian commander broadcast. Long-range sensors are detecting incoming objects of unknown origin. All worlds with predecessor ruins are to be evacuated immediately. But Colonel Rodriguez's ghostly form shook his head when he heard this order. No, Admiral. Running won't work. The Devourers will follow you wherever you go. The only chance is to stand and fight using the Anchor Network. Dr. Velelin worked frantically with Morrison's team to understand what Rodriguez meant. The answer lay in the predecessor facilities, scattered across Council space. Each one could be turned into an anchor point, allowing human consciousness to channel defensive energy through willing alien volunteers. It will be dangerous, Rodriguez warned. Serving as an anchor means opening your mind completely to us. Some of you might not survive the connection, but it's the only way to create a defensive network strong enough to stop the Devourers. General Korthik did not hesitate. My warriors and I will serve as anchors. We have fought beside humans before. We trust them with our lives. As the first Devourer scouts entered the outer rim of the galaxy, the various species of the Council faced an impossible choice. They could flee and watch the universe slowly die, or they could trust in their vanished human allies and become living weapons in a war beyond their understanding. The fate of all reality now rested on the bonds of friendship that humanity had, forged with their alien companions. Even in their transformed state, the humans were asking their friends to stand with them one more time, against the darkness that threatened to devour everything that had ever existed. The final battle began at the Altarian homeworld when the first Devourer scouts arrived. Admiral Zefter stood in the main predecessor facility on his planet's surface, his four hands pressed against the ancient control panels. Around him, hundreds of his people had volunteered to serve as anchor points, even though they knew the process might destroy their minds. Remember, Colonel Rodriguez's ghostly voice spoke through the facility's speakers. You must hold the connection, no matter what you see or feel. We are depending on you to keep us linked to normal space. The sky above the Altarian capital began to change. Dark shapes moved between the stars, and where they passed, the stars simply stopped existing. It wasn't that they exploded or burned out. They were erased from reality, as if they had never been born. The very fabric of space started to tear like cloth. Captain Mitchell Stone's voice suddenly filled Admiral Zefter's mind. Stone had been a human commander who died fighting in the Void Wars, but now he existed in the spaces between dimensions. Admiral, I'm here with you. Link your mind to mine and let me fight through you. Zefter felt a strange sensation as Stone's consciousness merged with his own. Suddenly, he could see the Devourers as they really were. They looked like holes in reality itself, moving wounds in the universe that consumed everything they touched. But now, through Stone's transformed awareness, Zeftar could also see the weapons they needed to fight back. Energy flowed through the Admiral and out into space, taking the form of geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. These patterns struck the nearest Devourer scout and caused it to writhe in apparent pain. For the first time in millions of years, one of the entropy beings had been harmed, but the effort nearly killed Admiral Zefter. Blood poured from his nose and his fore. Arms shook uncontrollably. Around him, other Altarians collapsed as the alien energy burned through their nervous systems. Hold on, Stone's voice urged. I know it hurts, but you're saving your entire world. The battle spread to other systems as more Devourer forces arrived. On the Dramoon homeworld, General Korthak led 5,000 of his strongest warriors into the predecessor facility there. The gray-skinned fighters formed a circle around the ancient machines, their hands linked together in a chain of consciousness. When the Devourers attacked Dramoon, the warriors felt their minds touched by human spirits. Each Dramoon warrior was paired with a transformed human soldier, and together they created weapons of pure thought and will. The sky filled with blazing light as reality itself fought back against the creatures of entropy. But the cost was terrible. Half of Korthak's warriors died in the first hour of fighting, their minds burned out by the incredible energies flowing through them. The general felt his own thoughts starting to fragment, but he refused to let go of the connection. "For our human brothers," Korthak roared, even as blood ran from his eyes. "We will not abandon them as they did not abandon us." Back on Earth, Commander Morrison made the hardest decision of his life. He had watched his alien friends sacrifice themselves to serve as anchor points, and he knew what he had to do. In the Antarctic facility, he approached the transformation chamber that the predecessors had left behind. "Sir, you don't have to do this," Tony Martinez said, tears in his eyes. "We need you here." Morrison smiled sadly at his crew. "No, you need me there. Someone has to be the permanent link between our dimensions. Someone who understands both sides." Before entering the chamber, Morrison recorded a final message. "To anyone who finds this recording, know that humanity hasn't abandoned our friends. We've become something new, something that can protect you from threats you can't even imagine. We're still here, just in a different way." The transformation process was unlike anything Morrison had ever experienced. He felt his consciousness expand beyond the boundaries of normal space and time. He could suddenly see all of his transformed human companions fighting desperately in dimensions that normal minds couldn't comprehend. But he could also still feel the physical universe, still sense his alien friends struggling to maintain the anchor points. He became a bridge between the two realities, allowing the transformed humans to channel their power more efficiently through their alien allies. The tide of battle began to turn. The Devourer scouts found themselves facing not just individual weapons, but a coordinated network of defense that spanned dozens of star systems. Every time they tried to consume a world, the combined will of humans and aliens drove them back. Dr. Veladin, her crystalline body now cracked from the strain of serving as an anchor, felt the presence of Dr. Santos guiding her thoughts. Together, they discovered how to seal the dimensional rifts the Devourers used to enter normal space. "Close the doorways," Santos whispered through Veladin's mind. "Make it so they can't return to this reality." One by one, the rifts between dimensions were sealed. The surviving Devourer scouts found themselves trapped in normal space, where the combined human-alien network could destroy them. The immediate threat was over, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. Colonel Rodriguez appeared one last time to the survivors, his ghostly form more solid than before, thanks to Morrison's sacrifice. This was only the first wave. The main Devourer force won't arrive for years, maybe decades. But when they come, they'll be ready for our defenses. The war was far from over, but something wonderful had been born from the battle. The various alien species had learned to work together as never before, united by their shared sacrifice and the knowledge that their human friends were still fighting alongside them. Earth remained silent, but now the galaxy understood that the silence represented not loss, but transformation. The empty cities became monuments to humanity's ultimate sacrifice, and the abandoned space stations became symbols of hope. Children of all species were taught that when they looked up at the stars and felt protected, it was because they truly were. Somewhere beyond the boundaries of normal space and time, their human guardians stood watch against the darkness, ready to defend everything good and beautiful in the universe. The galaxy had learned the true meaning of friendship, sacrifice, and hope, and in learning these lessons, they had become worthy partners in humanity's eternal vigil against the forces that would devour all of existence.